Most people will tell you intelligence is a gift. They're wrong. Nobody warns you about the part where your own mind becomes the thing exhausting you, where you see 5 problems in a plan everyone else already approved, where a simple decision takes you 3 days because you can't stop seeing every possible outcome, where you're sitting in a room full of people and somehow still feel completely alone in your own head. If any of that just hit a little too close, don't look away. Because what we're about to break down isn't just why this happens. It's the one thing almost nobody with a sharp mind has ever been told about how to actually live with it. Here's the first thing that often goes unspoken. A sharp mind doesn't know how to turn off. Where other people make a decision and move on, you see 5 more options branching out from it, each with its own risks, its own what-ifs. Something as simple as choosing a health plan or picking a restaurant can quietly turn into hours of internal debate. Not because you're indecisive, but because your brain genuinely generates more possibilities than most people's do. And shutting that down doesn't come naturally. Psychologists have a name for part of this cognitive load. The more your brain processes at once, the more mental energy even small decisions require. For most people, choosing between 2 similar options is quick and low effort. For you, it might mean comparing, weighing, second-guessing, because your mind is doing more work in the background than anyone around you realizes. There's also the loneliness that rarely gets mentioned. Not loneliness from lacking people. You might have plenty of people around you. It's a different kind. The loneliness of thinking in a different rhythm than most conversations move in. You simplify what you actually think, not because you're hiding it, but because the full version would take too long to explain. And you've learned that most people aren't looking for the full version, so you trim it down, again and again. And over time, that trimming becomes its own quiet distance. Here's a useful distinction. There's processing speed and there's processing depth. Some people think fast, moving quickly from question to answer. Others think deep, pulling a single idea apart into all its layers before they're satisfied. If you're someone who thinks deep, conversations built for speed can feel oddly unsatisfying, like stopping a meal halfway through. You're not trying to be difficult, you just genuinely need more from a thought before you're willing to let it go. Have you ever explained something carefully, laid it all out logically, and watched the other person's eyes glaze over halfway through? Not because they don't care, but because they simply weren't built to follow it that far. If that's happened to you more than once, you've probably learned to stop mid-explanation and say, never mind, it's not important. It usually was important. You just learned it was easier to let it go than to keep trying to bridge that gap. There's also a particular kind of exhaustion that comes from constantly noticing things other people miss. The inconsistency in someone's story, the flaw in a plan everyone else has already agreed to, the problem 3 steps down the line that nobody's thought about yet. Pointing it out too often makes you that person. Staying quiet means watching things go wrong that you could have prevented. Neither option feels good. And most people with sharp minds quietly learn to pick their moments, which means biting your tongue more often than anyone realizes. None of this means having a quick mind is a burden, or that people who move through life more simply are missing something. Plenty of people live rich, full, deeply connected lives without needing to examine every layer of every moment. And there's nothing lacking in that. These are just 2 different ways the mind can be built, and one isn't better than the other. It's simply heavier in different places. So maybe tonight looks like it usually does, sitting at that same table, half in the conversation, half somewhere else entirely, turning something over that nobody else has noticed yet. And maybe that's not something to fix. It's just the quiet cost of a mind that never fully stops working. The same mind that solves problems other people don't even see coming, that catches what others miss, that thinks its way through the dark long after everyone else has gone to sleep. The weight is real, but so is everything it makes possible.